The silent erosion of self-care unmasking hidden dangers. Every man, from the energetic prime of his youth through the reflective wisdom of his later years, carries within him a quiet, often unspoken confidence regarding the intricate workings of his own body, a deeply personal and intimate understanding particularly concerning the private routines he has meticulously cultivated over a lifetime for deeply personal satisfaction. For many decades, spanning a significant portion of his adult existence, a familiar technique, a specific series of motions and sensations, has likely served as an unwavering constant, a reliable and entirely predictable source of profound pleasure and soothing relief, a comforting anchor in the ebb and flow of daily life. This deeply ingrained habit, a method not only honed through countless personal experiences, but also perhaps subtly influenced by unspoken traditions or the quiet observation of peers, becomes an almost unconscious act, a deeply embedded part of his physical and psychological landscape. However, what if this profoundly personal and long-established ritual, a practice so intrinsically linked to comfort and release, is now, entirely unbeknownst to him, silently and insidiously working against the very core of his health and overall well-being? It is, undeniably, a chilling thought, a disquieting realization that the very act designed to bring solace and physical contentment could, after the significant milestone of a certain age, be insidiously contributing to an escalating sense of discomfort, gradually dulling once vibrant sensations, and even, most alarmingly, causing long-term, potentially irreversible damage to his most sensitive and vital parts. This is far from a hypothetical warning, not a mere speculative concern. It is, in fact, a stark, often tragically hidden reality for an uncounted multitude of men over the age of 60 who, through no fault of their own and armed with entirely insufficient information, continue to engage in practices that no longer harmoniously align with their naturally evolving physiology. The profound and far-reaching consequences of this misalignment extend significantly beyond mere fleeting frustration or a momentary sense of dissatisfaction, manifesting instead as a concerning pattern of diminished circulation throughout the delicate tissues, a blunted sensitivity in crucial nerve endings, and a quiet, almost imperceptible erosion of self-confidence that stealthily unfolds beneath the surface of their daily lives until their cumulative impact, like a slow-moving but unstoppable tide, becomes undeniably and painfully clear. The profound and often overlooked truth is that the wrong approach, an approach born of habit rather than informed awareness, can subtly but thoroughly compromise your most intimate and foundational health, impacting not just physical sensation, but also the deep psychological comfort derived from these personal moments. Fortunately, today, with the unveiling of this critical information, marks a pivotal turning point, an opportunity for profound change and renewed understanding. We are here with a dedicated purpose to illuminate this critically overlooked issue with compassion and clarity, and, more importantly, to offer a well-lit, actionable path forward, guiding you towards solutions that genuinely support your well-being. Dr. Laura Stone, a distinguished board-certified urologist with an impressive tenure of over 2 decades of dedicated and specialized experience, has spent the last 22 years of her illustrious career tirelessly supporting men over the age of 60 in navigating these complex and often emotionally charged physiological changes, helping them to maintain healthy, genuinely confident, and unequivocally safe sexual lives with an unparalleled degree of clarity, scientific rigor, and profoundly compassionate guidance. In the detailed, meticulously researched insights that follow, she will not only unpack the scientific rationale behind these transformations, but will also meticulously guide you step by step through a transformative process of how to thoughtfully adapt your self-touch routine, ensuring that it not only diligently protects your body and respectfully honors its natural, inevitable transformations, but also, perhaps most significantly, profoundly supports your pleasure, your vitality, and your overall health for all the rich, fulfilling years to come, empowering you to embrace this new chapter with confidence and informed self-care. The intention here is to foster a deeper connection between your conscious mind and your evolving physical self, moving beyond outdated notions and into a realm of mindful, respectful, and genuinely satisfying self-engagement. This journey is not about limitation, but rather about discovery, about finding new, more harmonious ways to experience pleasure and maintain well-being as your body gracefully progresses through the stages of life, proving that the later years can indeed be a period of rich, nuanced intimacy. Unpacking the body's transformation, what's truly changed. Before we can even begin to delve into the realm of practical solutions and empowering adaptations, it is absolutely vital, indeed foundational, that we collectively acknowledge, confront, and profoundly understand the fundamental systemic shifts that are naturally and inexorably occurring within your body as the years progress. Many men, finding themselves in this unfamiliar physiological landscape, experience a confusing and often distressing mix of genuine surprise, escalating frustration, or, perhaps most poignantly, a deep-seated and entirely unwarranted sense of shame when their bodies no longer respond with the same predictable vigor, the same instantaneous spontaneity, or the same unwavering predictability they once did during their younger years. This experience, while deeply personal, is also universally shared among aging men. However, let us be unequivocally clear, removing all ambiguity. This complex array of feelings and altered responses is not in any conceivable way a sign of personal dysfunction, a deficiency in your character, or, most emphatically, a personal failure on your part. This is, quite simply and beautifully, the exquisite, undeniable and universally shared reality of human biology, an intrinsic testament to the natural and inescapable process of aging that touches every living organism. As we gracefully, or sometimes less gracefully, advance in years, several interconnected and highly intricate biological systems that profoundly influence and orchestrate our sexual response begin with quiet determination to undergo significant and often subtle changes, thereby gradually and subtly altering the very landscape of your intimate experiences. This isn't a flaw in the design, it's simply the design itself, evolving as it is meant to. One of the most widely recognized and extensively researched shifts, a cornerstone of male aging, involves the gradual yet persistent decline of testosterone, that crucial and powerful hormone often considered the very engine of male vitality, responsible for not only driving libido and sexual desire, but also profoundly influencing mood, energy levels, muscle mass, bone density, and sustaining overall physical and sexual performance. While this decline is an entirely natural, biologically programmed event, it absolutely does not, contrary to popular misconceptions, mean that desire vanishes completely or that your capacity for pleasure simply evaporates. Instead, the nature of desire itself often transforms, becoming less spontaneous and less overtly urgent, frequently requiring a more intentional invitation, a more conscious and deliberate cultivation to awaken and sustain. Concurrently, the intricate and astonishingly sophisticated network of blood flow, the very lifeblood of arousal, also undergoes its own profound evolution. The myriad of tiny, delicate blood vessels, particularly those specialized vessels that supply the erectile tissues of the penis, can gradually over time become less elastic, less efficient in their dilation and contraction, and sometimes even physically narrowed due to the accumulation of plaque or the stiffening of arterial walls, a process known as atherosclerosis, which is a common aspect of cardiovascular aging. This significant physiological change directly means that achieving and crucially maintaining an erection may become a noticeably slower and more deliberate process, a journey that now explicitly requires more patience, a greater degree of focus, and a more conducive, relaxed environment, especially when you are alone and seeking intimate connection. Furthermore, the nervous system, that intricate and astonishingly complex conductor of all sensation and communication within the body, also gradually quiets, becoming a bit less sharp, less immediate, less robust with the inevitable march of age. The highly specialized nerve endings that once reacted almost instantly and with vivid intensity to the slightest, most fleeting touch can become progressively less responsive, a bit more muted in their intricate communication with the brain. This means that touch may feel discernibly less intense, less sharply defined, and the brain itself may require a little more time and processing power to fully register and integrate these incoming sensations, meaning that the experience of pleasure might now unfold at a more deliberate, unhurried, and richly nuanced pace. It is precisely this profound, interconnected understanding of these fundamental biological realities, this acceptance of your body's intelligent and natural adaptation, that represents the absolutely essential first step towards not only acknowledging but fully embracing and cultivating a new, more harmonious, and ultimately more fulfilling approach to your personal self-care practices, transforming what might feel like a decline into a sophisticated evolution of intimacy. The outdated script, why your old techniques betray you. So, given the profound biological shifts we've meticulously discussed, shifts that reshape the very foundation of your intimate responses, what do these transformations truly signify for your long-established, deeply ingrained self-care routines? They signify with an undeniable clarity that the methods and approaches you wholeheartedly relied upon and enthusiastically employed in your vibrant 20s, your dynamic 30s, your settled 40s, and even your robust 50s. The deeply ingrained habits, the specific pressures, the particular rhythms meticulously built and perfected over multiple decades of personal experience may, quite simply, no longer adequately or optimally serve the evolving needs of your subtly but significantly changing body. And it is absolutely crucial to reiterate this point emphatically and without reservation. This fundamental disconnect between your past habits and your present physiology is not, in any way, shape, or form, a personal failing on your part, nor is it anything to be remotely ashamed of or to feel guilty about. It is instead an unmistakable and ultimately benevolent signal from your body, a clear indication that it is now time, not for judgment or self-recrimination, but for a thoughtful, deliberate, and entirely necessary update to your intimate technique, much akin to how you would judiciously update outdated software for a new, more advanced operating system to ensure optimal functionality and performance. The old programming simply isn't optimized for the new hardware. Unfortunately, a great many older men, far too many in fact, never fully grasp the profound significance of this fundamental truth. They often, and quite understandably, misinterpret these biological changes, mistakenly concluding that something is inherently and irretrievably wrong with them, leading to a pervasive sense of self-doubt and inadequacy, or even more detrimentally, they instinctively revert to deeply ingrained, often counterproductive behaviors. They instinctively push harder, believing in a misguided attempt that greater force, increased speed, or more aggressive tactics will somehow miraculously restore what they perceive as lost youth, lost sensation, or lost virility. This deeply flawed logic, driven by a desperate desire to reclaim the past, very often translates into a series of increasingly detrimental habits. They begin tightening their grip with greater intensity, significantly increasing the speed and vigor of their movements, and focusing with an unwavering, almost desperate intensity solely on the climax itself, all under the persistent mistaken impression that these aggressive and often harsh tactics will magically bring back the vibrant sensations and the effortless ease of their younger years. This creates a vicious cycle where the pursuit of sensation actually diminishes it. Yet, these very habits, the relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of speed above all else, the firm, often unyielding and solely outcome-driven approach are, with a profound and cruel irony, precisely what begins to work against your body's delicate, more fragile, and now more sensitive systems after the age of 60. They actively contradict the needs of an evolving physiology. Such methods can exacerbate existing discomfort, actively diminish the potential for genuine, nuanced pleasure, and over time, tragically contribute to a host of long-term physical issues, including microtraumas, desensitization, and circulatory problems. Recognizing and internalizing this critical disconnect, this fundamental mismatch between deeply ingrained habits and current biological needs, is not merely an important insight. It is the absolutely essential first step towards cultivating a genuinely new, profoundly more harmonious, respectful, and ultimately more fulfilling relationship with your own evolving body, paving the way for a redefined and deeply satisfying intimate experience that honors the present rather than clinging to the past. This conscious awareness is the key to unlocking a healthier, more pleasure-filled future. 5 silent mistakes that undermine pleasure and health. Let's now meticulously delve into the 5 most common yet regrettably often unacknowledged and almost invisibly destructive silent mistakes that Dr. Stone, through her extensive clinical practice and deep observational insights, frequently observes in the self-care routines of older men. More importantly, we will dissect with precise detail how you can proactively and strategically avoid these pitfalls to not only safeguard your intimate health, but also significantly enhance your capacity for profound pleasure, transforming your routine from a potential source of damage into a wellspring of well-being. The unyielding grip mistake number 1. The first and perhaps most prevalent silent mistake is the unconscious, often automatic maintenance of the same grip strength, the exact same level of physical pressure that you've habitually and successfully used throughout your younger adult life. This deeply ingrained habit, once effective, becomes a source of subtle harm. As the years inevitably progress beyond the significant milestone of 60, the delicate and highly sensitive skin of the penis naturally undergoes a series of predictable, age-related transformations. It becomes thinner, more fragile, notably less elastic, and consequently, significantly more susceptible to irritation and trauma from friction. What once felt robustly stimulating and genuinely pleasurable might now, in this altered physiological landscape, feel subtly irritating, vaguely uncomfortable, or, in more pronounced and persistent cases, distinctly and unmistakably painful, sending signals of distress rather than delight. An overly strong, aggressive, or continuously forceful grip, when applied to this more delicate tissue, can, over time, inflict minute, almost invisible microtraumas upon the surface skin and, more dangerously, damage the small, vital blood vessels that crisscross the area, impairing their ability to dilate and contract efficiently. This continuous low-level physical assault can also lead to a gradual desensitization of crucial nerve endings, dulling their ability to transmit pleasure signals effectively to the brain and ultimately, paradoxically, diminishing your body's innate and profound ability to respond with authentic pleasure and deep satisfaction. The straightforward, yet profoundly transformative fix for this insidious habit is to consciously, deliberately, and with persistent intention, loosen your grip. Begin a careful and curious experimentation with a far gentler, lighter, almost feather-light hold, allowing your fingers to merely caress rather than constrict. Your revised objective is no longer the application of brute force or mechanical pressure. It is, instead, the mindful cultivation, the patient exploration, and the nuanced discovery of subtle, evolving sensation. Imagine your hand as a conductor's baton guiding the symphony of sensation rather than a vice clamping down. This shift in intention will not only protect your delicate tissues, but will also open up an entirely new spectrum of tactile experiences, allowing for a deeper, more mindful engagement with your body's unique and evolving responsiveness, transforming a harmful habit into a source of gentle, sustainable gratification. The hasty rush, mistake number 2. The second exceedingly common error, often born of impatience or a residual youthful eagerness, is the tendency to go too fast, too soon, adopting a hurried, vigorous pace without allowing your body to properly acclimate and respond. With the natural and gradual slowing of your central and peripheral nervous systems, a phenomenon that is an intrinsic part of the aging process, rapid, vigorous, or intensely energetic motion can paradoxically overwhelm rather than stimulate it. Your brain, with its slightly decelerated processing speed, simply doesn't register the incoming sensory signals with the same instantaneous rapidity and clarity it once did, causing the experience of pleasure to feel curiously flat, disconnected, strangely muted, or even mildly confusing rather than intensely gratifying. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose when your system is designed for a gentle, steady stream. Consider your body, and particularly its intricate sensory and arousal systems, akin to a sophisticated radio receiver that has been subtly, imperceptibly retuned to a slightly different, more nuanced frequency over the years. The music, the potential for profound and deeply resonant pleasure, is still very much present, still broadcasting with undiminished power, but the tuning process now explicitly demands a greater degree of precision, a heightened sense of patience, and a far more delicate subtlety to fully capture its richness and depth. Slower, more deliberate, more rhythmically steady, and consciously varied movements allow your brain the necessary time and cognitive space to process the incoming sensations much more fully, deeply, and comprehensively, leading to an experience that is not only richer in texture, but also more profoundly integrated and emotionally satisfying. This mindful deceleration allows the various internal systems, the vascular, the neurological, the hormonal, to harmonize and synchronize effectively, ensuring that the signals of arousal and pleasure are fully received, interpreted, and amplified, transforming what might otherwise be a fleeting, unsatisfying rush into a prolonged, deeply felt, and genuinely pleasurable journey of sensation and connection, proving that true intimacy often benefits from a slower, more deliberate pace. The lubrication neglect, mistake number 3, skipping lubrication, or treating it as an optional add-on rather than an essential component of self-care, constitutes the third widespread mistake, often firmly rooted in a pervasive and deeply entrenched misconception. Many men, drawing from societal norms or past experiences, mistakenly believe that lubricant is solely and exclusively for partnered sex, or, even more narrowly, that it is a product exclusively for women. This deeply held belief could not, in fact, be further from the comprehensive biological truth. As testosterone levels naturally and gradually decline with age, a predictable physiological change, the body's natural lubrication mechanisms, which are often overlooked in men but are nonetheless present and crucial, can also decrease significantly. This reduction in endogenous moisture is a direct consequence of hormonal shifts affecting glandular function and overall tissue hydration. When you combine this age-related reduction in natural moisture with increasingly thinner, more fragile, and significantly more sensitive skin, as discussed previously, dry stimulation becomes inherently and demonstrably risky. The absence of adequate lubrication dramatically increases friction between the skin and whatever medium is used for touch, which can very easily lead to a range of uncomfortable, irritating, and even damaging outcomes. Micro tears, tiny abrasions on the delicate skin surface that may not be immediately visible but cause discomfort, persistent irritating rashes that can be slow to heal, or a delayed, throbbing soreness that inconveniently manifests hours later, long after the activity has concluded. The solution to this easily avoidable problem is elegantly simple, wonderfully straightforward, and remarkably effective. Consistently and proactively apply a generous amount of a gentle, unscented, high-quality, water-based lubricant early in your routine, well before you even begin to feel fully aroused or before any significant physical stimulation commences. This proactive and intentional approach not only allows your skin to soften and become more pliant and receptive to touch, effectively creating a protective barrier against friction, but also significantly helps your nervous system to interpret the incoming tactile information as deeply pleasurable, comforting, and nurturing, rather than as stressful, abrasive, or potentially damaging. Making lubrication a non-negotiable, integral first step in your self-care ritual transforms the experience, ensuring comfort, enhancing sensation, and preserving the long-term health and integrity of your intimate tissues, moving from neglect to informed and protective care. The climax compulsion mistake number 4. The fourth prevalent mistake, perhaps the most psychologically entrenched, involves an almost obsessive compulsion to force yourself to climax, to reach a definitive orgasm, viewing it as the singular, ultimate, and non-negotiable measure of success for any intimate experience. This narrow definition of success can be profoundly limiting and counterproductive, especially as one ages. It is absolutely crucial, indeed foundational, to internalize and profoundly understand that climax is emphatically not the sole or ultimate metric of a successful, fulfilling, or deeply satisfying intimate experience, particularly after the age of 60. Your body, now operating within its new, evolved physiological parameters, may naturally take a considerably longer time to reach peak arousal, building sensation at a more gradual pace. Moreover, your waves of pleasure might now ebb and flow with a new, more fluid, and less linear rhythm, characterized by gentle undulations rather than sharp peaks. This altered rhythm is, let us be perfectly clear, absolutely not a failure of any kind. It is simply a new, evolving, and entirely valid rhythm of your body, a testament to its intelligent adaptation. The harder you intensely try to achieve pleasure, the more you exert mental and physical pressure to reach a predetermined outcome, the more likely you are to inadvertently activate your body's stress response system. This leads to the release of stress hormones, such as cortisol, which paradoxically and directly suppress optimal sexual function, constrict blood vessels crucial for arousal, and significantly diminish overall enjoyment. Instead, cultivate a profound attitude of allowance, of gentle acceptance and release. Let your experience gently and organically unfold at its own natural, unhurried pace. If you find yourself feeling completely satisfied, deeply contented, and profoundly at peace with your body before reaching climax, that is an entirely valid, complete, and deeply fulfilling experience in its own right, no less worthy or meaningful than one culminating in orgasm. If you choose to pause the activity, to rest, to reflect, and perhaps to return to it later, that too is a perfectly acceptable and wise decision, honoring your body's current state and desires. The key, the profound secret to this liberation, is to release the mental stopwatch, to abandon the rigid goal of a predetermined finish line, and instead to surrender fully and mindfully to the nuanced sensations and the unfolding beauty of the present moment, allowing pleasure to define itself without external pressures. Ignoring your body's whispers. Mistake number 5. The final and perhaps most insidious and deeply rooted mistake is the pervasive tendency to ignore your body's subtle yet absolutely crucial signals. After decades of adhering to a familiar, often rote routine, it is all too easy for self-touch to become an automatic, almost unconscious act, an operation on autopilot where the mind is disengaged from the body's immediate feedback. However, intentional self-touch after the age of 60 fundamentally transitions from being about mere rote repetition and mechanical action to being profoundly about responsive, mindful connection, a rich and ongoing dialogue between your conscious self and your physical sensations. This requires a heightened level of internal awareness and responsiveness. If a particular movement, a specific pressure, or a particular rhythm now feels dull, unsatisfying, or curiously flat, consciously and immediately adjust it. Don't push through it. Explore alternatives. If any sensation, even the slightest, feels uncomfortable, slightly irritating, or causes the slightest twinge of pain, immediately stop, pause, and thoroughly reassess what you are doing and how you are doing it. Your body is sending you a clear message that something needs to change. Conversely, and equally importantly, if something feels unexpectedly good, deeply pleasurable, uniquely resonant, or profoundly comforting, stay with that sensation. Don't rush past it. Consciously explore its nuances, its texture, its depth, allowing yourself to fully immerse in its richness. You are not engaged in a performance for an external, invisible judge, nor are you fulfilling an obligation. You are engaged in a deeply personal, intimate, and evolving dialogue. A mindful connection with your own beautifully evolving body. A conversation that demands attentive and compassionate listening. This requires a paradigm shift from a prescriptive, one-size-fits-all approach to an adaptive, personalized, and deeply intuitive form of self-care. By genuinely listening to these whispers, the subtle cues of comfort, discomfort, pleasure, and disinterest, you empower yourself to continuously refine your practice, ensuring it remains a source of genuine well-being, authentic pleasure, and respectful connection, rather than a mindless routine that no longer serves you. A new path to pleasure, adapting your technique. So, having thoroughly dissected the pitfalls of outdated routines and illuminated the necessity of embracing physiological realities, what does an authentically adapted, demonstrably healthier, and profoundly more deeply satisfying self-touch technique actually look and feel like after the age of 60? Let Dr. Stone, with her wealth of expertise and compassionate understanding, meticulously walk you through a step-by-step approach, a conscious and mindful methodology that explicitly prioritizes presence, maximizes genuine pleasure, and embodies profound self-care, transforming a routine into a sacred ritual. The sacred moment, choosing your time and space. First and fundamentally, select your moment with an exquisite degree of deliberate care, conscious intention, and unwavering purpose. Resolutely resist the pervasive cultural urge to rush through this personal act or to haphazardly squeeze it into an already packed, overly tight schedule. Such hurriedness inevitably breeds stress and diminishes genuine enjoyment. Instead, consciously block out a dedicated, uninterrupted window of at least 15 to 20 minutes. And ideally, for a truly immersive and unpressured experience, even more time if your circumstances permit, during which you can be absolutely and unequivocally certain that you will not be interrupted by external demands or distractions. The paramount and overarching goal here is not merely convenience. It is to allow your nervous system, that intricate conductor of all sensation, to feel utterly safe, deeply relaxed, and completely at ease, rather than perpetually stuck in a state of high alert, rushing, or anticipation of interruption. This conscious act of carving out sacred time sends a powerful physiological signal to your brain and body, shifting you from sympathetic fight or flight mode into parasympathetic rest and digest mode, which is the foundational physiological state absolutely essential for true pleasure to arise and be fully experienced. Setting the stage, cultivating your environment. Second, with a mindful and deliberate intention, carefully set your immediate environment to be conducive to relaxation and sensory exploration. This is not about extravagance, but about creating a sanctuary, dimming the lights to a soft, inviting glow, introducing soft, calming background music that soothes the spirit without distracting the mind, or even simply ensuring that the ambient lighting is warm, indirect, and genuinely inviting, can send powerful, subconscious signals to your brain, encouraging it to fully relax, to gently let go of daily worries, and to surrender to the unfolding moment. Consider also the temperature of the room, ensuring it is comfortably warm, and perhaps adding soft textures like a comfortable blanket or a plush towel to enhance overall sensory comfort. Remember, an overarching sense of physical and psychological comfort is not merely a pleasant, superficial extra. It is, in fact, the fundamental, non-negotiable foundation upon which true, profound, and deeply resonant pleasure can authentically blossom, flourish, and be deeply savored without impediment. This thoughtful curation of your surroundings transforms a mere space into an intimate haven. The breath anchor, grounding yourself. Third, initiate your intimate journey with the profound yet deceptively simple power of your breath. Before any physical touch even begins, before your hands even make contact, consciously take 5 slow, deep, and utterly deliberate breaths. Inhale deeply, smoothly, and thoroughly through your nose, allowing your belly to gently expand with the influx of life-giving air, and then exhale slowly, completely, and with a sense of release through your mouth, feeling the tension drain from your body with each out-breath. This simple yet incredibly potent act of mindful breathing communicates a clear, unambiguous message to your entire physiological system. I am safe. I am fully present in this moment. I am not in a rush, nor am I under any pressure. It serves as an immediate anchor, grounding you firmly in the present, calming your nervous system, and preparing your body and mind for a deeply connected experience, ensuring that your journey begins from a place of serenity and self-awareness, rather than one of preoccupation or tension. The gentle invitation, early lubrication. Fourth, elevate lubrication from a mere practical necessity to an early, foundational, and deeply intentional step, not a mere afterthought applied hastily when discomfort arises. This proactive application is your initial, gentle, and utterly